Dear God, in His silence I have known You. I have felt our oneness, You and I, the oneness I share with all others. And I have felt this through this simple act of breathing, of inhaling Your life. I feel the sharing, I feel the connection, I feel this very delicate balance that keeps me alive. And it brings with it a sense of wonder and amazement at this simple gift which we take so for granted and which is given so freely. Thank you. Instrument of God. An orchestra. Hey, I like that. That kind of, that ties in with the dance. We all have different instruments to play. And have you ever listened to an orchestra warm up? Sometimes they sound pretty discordant. Yeah, sometimes they sound pretty discordant. They're all doing their own thing. But then, with God as the conductor, can we do that? God is the conductor, steps up, takes the baton. Is that what we call it? Baton? Some of you musicians. Takes the baton, and everybody starts to play together, and it sounds beautiful. Not without practice. Not without knowing how to read music. Not without knowing the laws, as it were, of music, of harmony, of how you combine this. So in our church we come together to learn some of these laws, some of these principles, and connected with God directing, we can do anything. Well, the analogy that I came up with was it's kind of like a rocky hillside that hides, or that is full of beautiful, precious stones and gems. And some of those stones and rocks are broken open, exposing the gems. I've never been collecting these, but they're in the rock at first, and some of them are still hidden in the hillside or deep inside, and they have to go in and mine them. And so they have to be torn loose from that place in which they grew and developed. That which they have known. They have to be washed. They have to be cut. They have to be polished before the brilliance that is within the stone begins to come forth. And so looking at that idea of having to take this gem in the rough and yank it from its surroundings and wash it and cut it and polish it, I thought, church is not just a feel good on Sunday morning type of thing. It's not just come here for 1 hour, get your unity hugs, get your warm fuzzies, smiles, handshakes, whatever. Church brings us face to face with whatever we brought in with us. The baggage, the hang-ups, the stuff, and the good things that we're growing into, and also those things that no longer serve us, that we need to let go of. And it seems to me that when we come up to that realization that we have three choices, we can turn around one. We don't want to face that. We don't want to deal with some of that stuff that we have with us. It's weighting us down. Or we can kind of retreat behind our mask. We can continue to come to church and participate, but we're pretty good at plastic masks, aren't we? I'll speak for myself. I learned how to do that real good. To hide behind those masks. Or we can decide that we're going to jump in. We're going to jump into the spiritual community, and we're going to go about this process of what do you do when you collect these gems? Do you harvest them? What, harvest them? A big harvest. And so we find ourselves asking the question, am I teachable? Am I teachable? Are you teachable? There's those who are open and willing to be on this spiritual path and to unfold like the field of flowers, to unfold, to grow from the inside out. And there are those areas that, even though we're willing, that maybe we still have our blocks and our barricades about, we that. And so we need to ask ourselves, are we teachable? You know, it seems to me that many of us found unity, I know I did, when things weren't working real well in my life. Yeah, old ways weren't working. And there needed to be something else. So we were willing. We were in a real teachable position. Boy, this isn't working. Show me something else. And so here's this new way. And the first time I went into a Unity church, somebody was sitting there doing this. And I said, what? What are you doing? So these new ways, sometimes they're a little scary. Sometimes they're uncomfortable. Sometimes they're challenging to us. But if we're going to walk the talk, we have to meet the challenge. We need to go through that process of being torn out of our old behaviors, our old beliefs, our old systems that were not functioning for us, and be willing to be washed, to be made clean, to be cut and shaped and polished. And sometimes there's some hurt with that. And sometimes there's some abrasion. I mean, when you polish something, whoa, you know, you can start off with coarse sandpaper. And yet I would say to you that this is truly the most exciting journey I've ever been on. It's very exciting. I know that having set your foot on the path, there's no going back. There's no way to go back to where you were, is there? It's intoxicating in its own way. And so I'm going to ask you, perhaps, if you'd like to play the game, to pick your precious stone, your precious gem. Which one would you pick? Because they're all different shapes and sizes and colors. Diamond, emerald, ruby, sapphire. About you, whatever I pick, it's probably got to be blue or green, but what would you pick? What precious gem do you want to be? Because you are, of course. You are. There's that light, that brilliance within you that is just waiting to come forth in its totality. And it's coming forth in various degrees, at different times, different places, and we look at it and we say, whoa, is that me? Gosh, do I recognize myself? And so we find in this relationship with our church, our spiritual community, that it's a social relationship. We go, we interact with people. I don't think there are too many people in Unity who come to be doing the right thing or to meet the right people, but our relationship might be educational, therapeutic. Certainly when we pray, we are opening ourselves up to God's presence and God's healing force within us. When we have music is therapeutic. I firmly believe it touches us on a different level. It opens us up on a different level that I'm not even sure I understand. But we have music and we have prayer and we have song and, well, that's music, isn't it? We have the spoken word. So all these different avenues, venues, touch us and open us on different levels. And we find that as we get more involved in this relationship with our church, as we go to classes, as we volunteer for different projects, that it's more than being about sharing our time and energy. It's really about others were going to say, because I wouldn't mind to be right. I didn't want it to be different from theirs, particularly what the minister was going to say. And I thought, well, for sure the minister is going to say church is the most, that church was the most important thing to her. And you know what? She didn't. And you know what? I don't. The most important thing to me is a spiritual journey. And it expresses through us into our church community. Most important thing for you, well, I can't answer for you, but I would suggest that maybe you want to take a look at some of those possible priorities in your life and put them in order for yourself and see where they are. What is your top priority? You see, in this walk with God, we grow in all ways. We grow spiritually, we grow mentally, we grow emotionally. We grow physically. Even if we're grown up, we grow physically whole and well. And in looking at these relationships as they grow and as they are healed or they evolve and they become healed, it seems to me that it is about various stages of growing into a relationship in which we are interdependent. Now, we've all been dependent at some point in our lives. We've all been children. We've all relied on somebody else to take care of us. Some of us grew up from our childhood knowing how to be very codependent, knowing how to do that real well. And then we said, well, that doesn't work, so we became very independent. You know, I don't need anybody. I can take care of myself, thank you. I'm not responsible for you. You're not responsible for me. But I'm here to tell you that those don't work. What I'm looking for in my life, what I'm looking for in the life of the church is an interdependency in which we recognize our wholeness or our process of growing into wholeness and sharing that, going into the church community and into our world, into our lives, knowing that we are a whole person, that we are a child of God, that we have our own power, our own identity, our own very unique identity, and that we each have special gifts and talents to share. That we do that, and so we become related in an interdependent role in which we bring ourselves and our gifts and talents to the spiritual community, and we share those, and we share from the depth of our heart, and we share from our innermost gift. And in doing that, we are fulfilled. We learn how to live life passionately because we're coming from who we are and we're sharing our gifts and we're putting it out there in the community. When we do that, all our needs are met. Surprise.
Bursting through, Clowns to the left in front, Clowns to the left takes it, great go for the Miners, dancing on the beat, Firehouse, Louis the punter will run fourth, he was deeper out, Jackson Jazz right behind them, Bride Newell running out of racetrack late, Jillaby Jackpot not too far away,
Clowns to the left, Shane Graham, 17.33.